Hi everyone. This is going to be a bit of a different video than those that I've done before. My previous videos were mostly book reviews, but of course it's not just reading and books that I'm interested in. There are many other things that I'm interested in and that I want to document with this channel. And one of the things is language learning. I am very interested in learning languages. I love learning new stuff, and one way to do that effectively for me to keep my mind busy is to learn new languages. Now, I have been studying Spanish for about 8 years in school, and as you can hear, I can speak English quite fluently. That is actually one of the that I am studying at university, the other being German, my native tongue. So yeah, there's English, there's Spanish, there's German. I have started to study Turkish just for funsies, so that's like 4 languages that I'm currently trying to keep up. And to be honest, my methods of studying were kind of a jumble. They were really mixed. Like with Spanish, I'm mostly just reading at the moment, and for Turkish I have been studying for a while, but it's just for fun. I'm not having any specific goals. I started with Duolingo and then I moved on rather quickly to other resources like YouTube videos that explain grammar concepts, trying to read short stories but failing miserable at them. And then right now I'm using Pimsleur and a textbook to study, and that's going quite well. I think I don't make massive jumps in it, but I don't expect it because I don't invest a ton of time into it, and I would need to consume a lot more comprehensible input. I have wondered for a while, how much progress can I make? A person who has a part-time job, a person who goes to uni starting next week again, and a person with a bunch of hobbies and basically 2 other languages to maintain. How much can this person learn using just Duolingo? Because I know that a lot of people are actually using Duolingo and some swear by it. They think that it's really effective because it has gamified language learning, and others think that it's quite horrible, that it takes a long time to actually get somewhere or get to a place where you can actually use the language. And I just wanted to try it out for myself, having like this stark contrast between languages that I already know, like English, how I maintain them, languages that I've started to learn properly with proper time investment, with a textbook and Pimsleur, so a more traditional studying method. Having Spanish, which I am not really very proficient in, but I can read short stories fine, and then having a completely new language, which will be Swedish. How this will compare to the other methods, using Duolingo to start off completely with a language I have never had any contact with. Right now, at this moment in time, I have started it. I have finished the first block regarding food and drink, so I can say stuff like, please excuse my pronunciation, it's a work in progress. That's also a thing I want to see how well Duolingo works for that. I can say stuff like vatten och öl tack, bröd eller mjölk, so they're not quite whole sentences. Yeah, we'll see. It's a mystery for both of us. So I've got my PC. As you can hopefully see, I've got the order food and drink section done. Now I am in section 1, unit 2, describe your family. So I might have to make a small confession. I missed 3 days of my Swedish learning, which is unfortunate, but I will make up for it. I will study 3 more days. Yeah, I don't really know what happened, because it's not really a bigger time investment that I'm doing every day. We did get visits from some of our family members, so I spent a lot of time with my nephew, and my sister wanted to get her jeans shortened, which I did for her. And then I also, because I already had the sewing machine out, I tried out pattern making. I made a mock-up, or I started making a mock-up for a patchwork vest that I'm planning to make in the next couple of weeks. But I didn't do any Swedish learning on those days. I'm sorry. It's asking me to translate my husband is tall, which is min man är lång. One thing I did want to mention is that I will be having a bit more progress with learning Swedish just because I know German and English and these languages overlap quite a bit. So if you're trying to do the same and you just speak English, another European language, and you want to learn, say, Chinese, Japanese, Welsh, I don't know, Tagalog, it's gonna be a lot harder and you're not gonna make as much progress. So as you can see, tall means long, which is quite similar. Min dotter är väldigt smart. It means my daughter is very smart. Min syster är ung. My sister is young. More. I will be pronouncing every single word, and I also write down the sentences and words I've learned after a lesson. I just know all of these already. And that's it. I will check in the end again. So I have actually studied Swedish for 30 days now, but to be honest, I don't feel like Duolingo was much help at all. Definitely have built a general understanding of the basic sentence structure, and I've built up a lot of basic vocabulary, but to be honest, I can't really speak it. Now, 30 days is of course a very short time to come to such a conclusion. I don't think that Duolingo is completely useless after all. I mean, it has taught me certain things, but to reach fluency or to just become conversational in a short amount of time, I don't think that Duolingo is the right choice. I think working through a textbook in maybe 30 days is a good choice to get a good overview of grammar structures and also basic vocabulary. Afterwards, at the same time, reading a lot of short stories that are specifically written for learners of the language and beginner learners of that language. What Duolingo offers in other languages like Spanish, it doesn't offer for Swedish. As far as I understood it, there are no short stories. There isn't like this AI kind of thing that you can do in Spanish, which I reckon would have been helpful to learn Swedish and to actually become conversational to a certain degree. As you may remember, I originally wanted to learn about 20 to 30 minutes every day with Duolingo, but unfortunately that is quite plainly not possible anymore. You can't learn as much as you want to because they invented the system with the hearts and the system with the energy, depending on if you want to study on your laptop or PC or if you want to study on your mobile. Most of the days I couldn't manage to study for more than 10 minutes, maybe 50 minutes at most, because if I was on my phone, I only had like 5 lives. And if I made 5 mistakes, I would have to repeat stuff that I had already learned. So it was incredibly boring to do so. And I didn't do it. I stopped learning more of the new stuff that would have actually interested me. And I had to focus on simpler grammar structures that I had already mastered. And on PC, I mean, with the energy, it's quite frankly the same. You can only learn to a certain degree, and then it just stops. You run out of energy, you can't do any more tasks. Now, if you don't make many mistakes, you can learn a bit longer, but generally speaking, it's way too short of a time to actually learn the language in 30 days, even if it's just to an A1 or A2 level. I like to use Duolingo back in the days for Japanese and Korean, and also a bit for Spanish, and that these changes with the hearts and the energy completely made me change my mind about Duolingo. I don't like it. They just want your money, and it's painfully obvious. Like, without Super Duolingo, you basically can't study a language there anymore. It's not just the advertisements that they show after every single task or practice session. It's just that you can't do as many practice sessions as you like. And I think that's really disappointing. Now, I want to give you an example of what I've learned. As I said in the beginning, I would not use other resources, so I couldn't Google grammar structures to learn a bit more about them. I didn't use Google Translate to get a better overview of a sentence, a certain word, or to maybe get another translation or more example sentences for that word. So I really only used Duolingo and what they offered me, and I wrote down all the vocabulary that I learned in this Swedish notebook, and I also added some example sentences so that I could later on show you what kind of things I learned. They're all very basic, as it's just natural in such early stages of learning a language, but generally speaking, they do offer a nice overview of the basic grammar. From categories or topics, we have food and drink, describe your family, where we form basic sentences like jag är en far, or which means I am a father, or jag är smart, which means I'm smart. When it comes to greetings, we learn stuff like välkommen or god morgon, and first questions like du har en katt, do you have a cat, or more literally, you have a cat. And also hur mår du? Then we have ordering food, where we learn more
food related vocabulary, but not much grammar. I learned the word meja, for example, bröd med ost, which means bread and cheese, or bread with cheese, and also mit, so which means with, and also the word tu, as in min ost min ost är för kall, which means my cheese is too cold. Yeah, then we have the category job. Personal pronouns we learned in that, like he or she, and to like we learned how to form to like sentences, like jag tycker om din chef, which means I like your chef. Then we have talking about possessions, where we learn a bit about technology, mobile meaning mobile, and we also have stuff like cykel, which means bike. We have hobbies, which I found quite nice because I like to talk about my hobbies, with sentences like han målar medan jag spelar piano. So he is painting while I'm playing piano. We learned a bit about animals, where we learned the structure of not just saying a, so en björn, but also the, for example, björnen. So it would be a bear versus the bear, where we learned stuff like är du i Denmark? And then we also had the topic of questions, or är hon på semester? So overall, it was fine, it was fun, but it was also really repetitive at times, and I wouldn't recommend it if you plan on just using Duolingo to really learn for a longer period of time, because it's not that effective. You're going to be wasting a lot of time, you're going to have a lot of repetition, that is true, you're going to have a lot of practice, but overall it can become quite boring if you want to do it for more than just like 5 to 10 minutes every day. I would highly recommend using a textbook to start out with, and then just using Duolingo to practice a bit, but just using Duolingo, especially the free variation of it, I don't think that it's really helpful. So some of the things that I found really interesting about the language were the similarities between Middle High German or Old German and Swedish. So they share a lot of common words, as it is with English as well, but seeing them in Swedish just made it really easy to memorize them, and I thought that it was really interesting and nice to see. I think Swedish sounds really nice. The favorite word that I've learned was bambusbjörn, which means panda bear. So there's that. Overall, I did ask myself the question, do I want to continue studying Swedish or not? And I came to the conclusion that for now I will not continue studying Swedish. I don't have proper resources to do it in a more effective and more fun way. I have been studying Turkish on and off for the past year or so, and I would definitely spend more time on that for the next couple of weeks or month, because I definitely want to reach an A2 or A1 level by the end of the year, and I have a long way to go because Turkish is so different in comparison to German or English or any other language that I know. And afterwards, I don't really know what I want to learn, because with Spanish I'm at the moment really in a phase where I just have to repeat a lot of stuff. I'm just trying to get as much comprehensible input in as possible. For Turkish I can't do that yet, so I will have to work through workbooks for now. But I've also become really interested in Te Reo Maori, which is the language of the Maori people. I think it sounds really nice. It has this like consonant vowel structure, and it sounds so nice. To me it sounds similar to Japanese, and I think it sounds really beautiful, and it's definitely so different from what I've learned before. So I really want to learn that. Swedish, maybe afterwards. I don't know yet. My ADHD makes me jump from hobby to hobby too quickly to decide right now what I want to learn in like a year or so. If you are interested in my language studying and my progresses in those languages, feel free to follow. I will probably make another video on that in a couple of months or years. Maybe when I revisit Swedish, or when I show what I've learned in Turkish so far. I'll wrap it up. I hope you have a very nice day. I hope you're successful in whatever language you want to learn, and I would really enjoy it if you could like tips and tricks for language learning in the comments, so maybe we can have a little bit of an exchange on what you find helpful, maybe how you use Duolingo to a more effective way that builds on what I already said in this video. I hope you have a nice day, and goodbye!